What's up, Rockstars? How's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about why I only do review videos and never a preview video. As always, before I get into it, a quick shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible so that I can make the videos that I make for you guys and bring you the honesty that I deliver, and especially on the subjects that I choose to. So I can do any video for any reason. I don't have to worry about how many views it'll get or whether it'll be the most popular and ad-worthy thing or anything like that, because they are the cornerstone of this channel. So thank you so much for their support. There's a link down below to that. Even $1 a month helps out greatly, and I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. With that out of the way, I apologize if this sounds different, if it looks different. I'm recording this the night before I post it, and we have an open house. We had one today, we have one tomorrow where people are coming to view the home to buy it. So all of my games are out of here. My video equipment's packed away. I kept my camera, but literally even the lights are broken down and all that. So I apologize for how the echo that I'm sure is in here and stuff like that. I'm doing what I can, but I wanted to make sure I continue to bring content to you guys as much as I can. I'm also really tired. I actually stayed up all night prepping the house, doing some paint work in like the pantry that needed to be done, and just a whole bunch of various odds, and especially the garage. You guys know how garages get. Anyway, my garage needed some love, so I gave it some love, but I'm a little tired. Okay, so I apologize for that as well. But that's enough apologies. You're not going to get any more in this video, trust me. So let's go ahead and talk about this. I'm not going to be talking about any specific event here, because this happens very often. Typically when I post a rather negative Kickstarter preview video, which I've done for, I don't know, like a handful of games now, or other stuff that's game related on Kickstarter, I suppose. And oftentimes it's kind of an interesting thing, because what I think most channels do is they make previews, which is a review with a P in the front of it, right? And because it's a content incomplete prototype, right? And so you're not reviewing the final product, you're just reviewing, okay, what's here now? What are they providing now? What are they showing off now? Now, usually, that's a pretty close approximation, just because normally they've been developing this for years, and it's not just something that's rushed and changed and drastically changing right now, which is good. That builds confidence in viewers, right? If you see a game that's obviously been developed for a long time, that has its core principles set in stone and it's good to go, that brings a lot of confidence to viewers, and it's often good to send that out to content creators to be able to show off and talk about and say, yeah, this is really good, or, whatever it might be. And so that's often the case. But there are other campaigns where it is kind of rough. It is kind of last minute. There are changes that are happening right before the Kickstarter, and the game is not super well defined, or it can change drastically after the Kickstarter. We've seen many examples of that, where the thing delivered is almost completely different from what was there. But ultimately, I don't think that matters too much, because at the end of the day, 98% of the views are when you post it, and when you post it is when they're on Kickstarter asking for your money, right? So you kind of review, okay, they're asking for your money right now. What do they have right now, right? It's kind of how I view that. And in case you didn't know, in case you couldn't tell, I've thought about this. So believe it or not, the guy who sits here and has made over 200 videos talking about Kickstarters and board games and does reviews and unboxings and all this stuff has put some thought into this. So I'm not just doing this blindly. I'm not just doing this with zero thought or care. I care a lot about it, enough to start a YouTube channel on it. So definitely passionate about this subject, and willing to chat with you guys about it. So, okay. I do have some notes too, so I'll be referring to that as well. So, why do I call them reviews and not previews? Well, it's because I never do previews, by the way. At least I never have before. I could. I'm not necessarily against doing a preview. We'll talk about that at the very end of the video. I have a specific example, actually, of a game that I will mention, because this video isn't even about that, because I never did a video on it, and that's kind of the whole point. So I'll talk about that in a moment. But what's the difference? Only one has opinions provided. So if you are watching a video, regardless of what words they put in that title, right? Regardless of what If I don't care if it says review, I don't care if it says preview, which is review with the P, and I don't care if they just put in the game name. I don't care if they say something else. Sometimes, they'll have a meta tag or, oh my gosh, you won't believe what I think of this game, period. Like, that tells you anything. But whatever it's titled as, if they give an opinion on it, that's a review with an R, no P. So let's actually look at the definition here. So let's start a preview. Preview, to see beforehand or to give a preliminary survey of. In other words, this is kind of showing something off, right? Or to view or show in advance of public presentation. It is a preview, right? They talk about movie trailers as previews. It's not a critic sitting down discussing the cinematography of the video. It's just, hey, here's this movie. Maybe you're interested in it. And that's legitimate. There are very good channels that I actually really enjoy that do very good previews. And they call them previews. And it's just, I'm seeing the game better than they presented on Kickstarter half the time. So very useful tool for content creators to make. Previews are a legit thing. I would say probably half, I don't know, I'm just making up numbers here. A lot of the videos that have preview provide opinion, and that's actually not a preview, it's a review. This is worded a little bit differently because of how it is, but it's really the act of reviewing, which just links you right back up here. So I don't know why they formatted it different, but it's an act of carefully looking at or examining the quality or condition of something or someone, during an examination or an inspection, or a report that gives someone's opinion about the quality of a book, performance, product, etc. So that's exactly what that is. It's somebody like me sitting here saying, I felt this. I think that. The moment I put I in there, then that's an opinion. I thought that was dumb. I thought that was stupid. I thought that was awesome. I thought that was amazing. All reviews. That is not a preview. So, because I think that's important, I will never put preview on my videos because I don't even trust myself to not give an opinion. Even when I'm doing my Kickstarter news videos, right, where I'm looking at the campaign and everything, they're essentially just a whole bunch of mini reviews of the campaign and what I can tell of the game based off how they advertise it. That's really what it is. It's a whole bunch of mini reviews if you look at it that way. And it really is, right? It's me giving a quick initial review of that. And you can say, oh, it's a first impressions, it's all that, but it may be a first impressions, but it's also a review. If you're giving opinion, it's a review, period, end of story. There's nothing else there. There's no even semantics to argue about it. It's how the definitions work. That's how words work. Words have meanings. And a review is providing or examining the quality or condition of something, or giving someone's opinion. That's what it is. So, you can name it different things to say what you're trying to communicate. So that is kind of interesting, right? So a lot of times I think preview is used not because it's an avoidance of opinion or something like that, but because they're trying to communicate that this is a content incomplete prototype. Which is fine. That's actually super valid. Or first impressions might allow you to say, okay, this is still a review, but I'm just letting you know I didn't play a whole bunch of the game, right? Which is also super helpful for the viewer. But you don't have to name it that. You can do other things. So for instance, in every single one of my Kickstarter reviews, I have a little blurb in there that says that this is a review of a content incomplete prototype. At the start of the video, before you hear any single opinion of mine, you get that disclaimer. So there are obvious, and of course, obviously, I posted, it's on Kickstarter right now. It's not available to the public. Obviously, this is an early copy. That's how time works. We can look at Einstein if we need examples of how time works, I guess. So I'm not interested in like physics here, okay? Like it's obviously that as well. So, all right, going back to my notes here. So that's the definitions. That being said, in the end, any conversation about this is semantics. If you didn't know what semantics is, it's the discussion of the word use, right? So there's like syntax, which is the word order, and then there's semantics, which is the words used. Whether you put first impressions, whether you put preview, whether you put review, whether you put nothing at all, whether you put I love cats, it doesn't matter what the title is of a video, the contents are the same. It doesn't change anything. It really doesn't. Any opinion you give is still that same opinion. You just have a different title on the youtube.com website, for whatever that's worth. Which could be different than when you put it on Board Game Geek, for instance. You don't have to keep the same title. What? You don't have to do anything. So, it just, at the end of the day, arguing about that's a little straw man, in my opinion, just because it doesn't really matter. I don't really care how somebody titles their video. I care about what they have to say. One of the reasons I avoid number systems in my reviews is because I feel people focus on it too much. And I see that all the time. Alex, who I talk with infrequently, and I need to talk more because he's a great guy. He uses a number system because people asked him to do it, which is awesome to do for any community that's asking for it. But from what I've seen, everybody just discusses the number. And it's like, well, I don't know what he said, but I know the number he gave it, because nobody's discussing, what'd you think about point A? What'd you think about point B? Right? That's why I have the pros, cons list, right? That way, even if you're skipping to the end of a review, which is fine to do, I do long reviews, you see what I'm talking about, not some culmination of a number or something like that. There's a few other layers to the number thing that's outside the scope of this video, and that they don't make any sense to me, but suffice it to say, I think it's important to look at the content of a video, not just the messaging or the branding or the encapsulation of it, if that makes sense. So in the end, semantics. Okay, let's talk about reviewing a prototype. That's hard. I talked to Alex about this, actually. I did a kind of a talking head chat with Alex for like an hour. It was quite a while, maybe a bit longer than an hour. We talked for a while about doing reviews. Because at the end of the day, there's only so many of us content creators here, especially that are doing something like reviewing early prototypes. Not every content creator does that. And so it's really nice to be able to talk to others and be like, hey, what do you feel about that? Next will probably be Jeremy Howard. So shout out to you, Jeremy. I need to talk to you. Just because I get a lot out of it, and I hope they do too. And I think you guys and everybody else does as well. It's good to talk about these things, right? It's very hard to kind of judge how you should review that. And I think people do it differently. I think some people are very into the, okay, I'm fine reviewing what I have here, but I'm also fine making heavy accommodations for what's unlocked as a stretch goal, or what's coming up, or what wasn't in this copy of mine, or whatever it might be, right? Which is a totally legit thing to do. There's nothing wrong with that at all, actually. And so that's fine. I don't almost ever do that. If you go back and watch my reviews, you'll see that I rarely refer too much to the campaign. I do to an extent, but I leave it at barely a sentence or two, as essentially saying this thing exists, it sounds neat, and then I move on, because I can't review what I can't play. At the end of the day, I need it in front of me. It's one of the reasons why I try to avoid Tabletop Simulator and stuff like that, especially as a first play, if I can. Sometimes it makes sense to do it, sometimes scheduling and shipments and all that kind of stuff, but for the most part, I try to get a game in front of me and play it like you will. Because that's how you're going to be playing it. You're going to get your friends, you're going to get your family, you're going to be playing a board game at a table. Maybe with some pizza and beverage of your choice, and that is fine. Nothing wrong with that, and that's what I try to emulate. So my issue there is how many, I'm trying to count how many Kickstarters I've backed where the promise of what was added wasn't something I liked. In other words, have you ever had a Kickstarter deliver a game you didn't end up enjoying? Or did you ever bet on, that sounds like it'd be fun, ends up not being fun, or it didn't work out for you, or it didn't do this, or didn't do that? It's hard enough as a backer judging what these promised mechanics involve and evoke and finally deliver. It's even harder to actually then do an official review that's going to be seen by thousands of people to put my name next to a sentence on what I feel about a mechanic I've not played. It's one of the reasons I play the games as much as I do, because I want to be pretty confident in what I'm talking about, and I can't do that based off of a stretch goal that I'm mildly aware of, but I've never played or touched or anything like that. So it can be a little difficult there. And again, reviewing digital content is hard as well. Like I said, I typically try to avoid that. I'm trying to think. I don't believe I've ever reviewed anything I've only played digitally. I don't think I have. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. If I do a review, it's a physical board game that I have in front of me of some kind. Some prototypes are very limited. Some prototypes are pretty much the whole game. There's a wide range there, but playing something digitally, it changes things. It changes aspects, right? There are certain things where it can help with upkeep a lot, so you won't notice something that drags down a system physically. Or vice versa. Sometimes it can be really clunky in the digital version, but it actually works really smoothly in person. And I'm a big proponent of game feel, right? Game flow. And that is completely different digitally versus non. And then of course the interactions with people. In video games, they often talk about how, co-op games often feel better because even if it's a bad game, if you're playing with your friends, you're still having fun. Same kind of thing, honestly, with board games. A lot of times, as long as it's not offending your fun time, it can provide a fun time because you're just hanging out with friends. You can do that around anything, right? This happens to be a board game. It happens to be kind of a poo-poo board game, but it doesn't matter because you're with your friends, you're having fun, you've had a few beers, it's whatever. It's fine. So, yeah, typically I only focus on what's in front of me. So ideally, and this is, I guess, to any of you guys watching this that are in the industry, I know there's a lot of you out there, you should send me something that you're wanting to actually show off, and get done. Which brings me to, another point. I have never done a review that wasn't requested. So I always mention that I'll be doing an unboxing and a review before something is sent to me, except Pitoku. So when it's sent with the knowledge that I will be doing a review of the game there. And I'm assuming, because it's not really my job to do this, that the people sending it know my channel. And this does get people sometimes where, I'm a bit more critical than some, which is fine. And I bet there are some that were probably more critical than me. I'm no expert in all the content creators out there. And honestly, it doesn't matter. I think that it's great that there's a range. Me personally, I tend to be a little more critical. I always have negatives. So there's never a con list that's empty. It's always pros and cons. There's never played a perfect game yet, sad as it is. Played some pretty good ones, but not perfect. Nothing's perfect. There's always room for improvement. It could be cheaper, if nothing else, right? These games are expensive. Okay, so I always mention preview unboxing, and I'm assuming that if you are developing a game for 3 years and you're putting this prototype together and that costs money, and then you're shipping it to me and that costs money, that you did your research on the channel you're sending it to. Just because I assume you wouldn't, like what if I was some crazy neo-Nazi or something like that? You know, like you wouldn't want me to be, you know, like have, like, oh yeah, right after I talk about how awesome Nazis are, I'm going to review your board game. Like, that would be terrible, right? Like, you should do your research. There's some crazy people out there. So I'm assuming they did the research. I don't have a spiel about, I tend to be critical in my reviews. I assume criticism comes with reviews, but whatever. So anyway, I've never done that. I mentioned, I would mention a game about that, and I will. So, Epic 7, sent me a copy of their game, to unbox and review. And I unboxed it and started in the review process. I hadn't even posted the unboxing yet, and they contacted me and they said, hey, this is actually a really early copy of the game. There's been a lot of changes, and we noticed that the prototype maker, it came directly from the prototype maker, didn't put all the content in there. So I didn't have all the cards. I didn't have all the mechanics. I didn't have all this. And they're like, you know what? Feel free to keep it, and you can kind of do whatever you want with it, but don't make a review on that. It's not representative of the final game. And so I said, sure. And you guys never saw a review of it. I also didn't bother playing it because playing prototypes is already difficult enough because the rules are kind of old and crap no matter what, typically. And so it's always kind of clunky. There's no online resources. You know how you guys go to Board Game Geek to look up rule clarifications? I don't get that when I play these. I have to go text the developer and message them on Facebook, which I do all the time. You guys know that if you are one of those developers. I usually have lots of questions. because I want to make sure I'm playing the game right, of course, right? And I'm trying to clarify something like that. And sometimes that changes a whole review. That's how Solomon Kane worked. I didn't like Solomon Kane at first, but I grew to actually love it. I didn't dislike it. It wasn't hitting home for me. But anyway, so yeah, I have no problem. Like I'm never maliciously posting a review. I'm never posting a review to surprise anyone. Anybody that has sent me anything knows that I'm going to be making a review and an unboxing of that game. And so I wanted to make sure that's clear to you guys as well. So I don't do previews. And ultimately, I feel you guys are smart. You guys are rock stars. And viewers can figure out for themselves what they want and what's best for them. In other words, don't blindly follow any content creator. Don't blindly follow me. Don't blindly follow Man vs. Meeple or Alex or Jesse or anyone else. Don't ever do that. Take what I say. Take what they say. Add it to the list of all the data you have. Think about it and make your own decision. Now, I know you guys do that, so I have no problem just kind of steamrolling through that. You guys are rock stars, and I say that for this reason. We can have tough conversations here. We can talk about games that we love in a critical way here, which is not something everybody's prepared to do. And we can, in general, just have different opinions and be okay with it as mature adults. So I have no problem doing that. But sometimes my views go outside the normal viewership. And sometimes people aren't prepared for that style of communication that we tend to share here. So, just clarification on that too. I might post this to, future, people wanting to send me a review. I don't know. But either way, I don't do previews. I provide opinion on pretty much, I can't help but provide opinion because I'm way too opinionated. So, you guys hear what I have to think about something, even if you're not signed up for that. Like even an unboxing really is. And in fact, people in the comments of my unboxings often say great review. And I never once correct them. I've never once corrected them on that. Sometimes I check the video like, wait, which was, I haven't done a review yet. Oh, that's right. It's unboxing. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm reviewing all the components throughout the whole unboxing. I'm reviewing it. So anyway, that's, I wanted to clarify that because I'd never overtly talked about it except in that video with Alex. From Board Game Co., which great video, by the way. Hope to do another video with him here at some point. And it just I think it's important to kind of note the differences how I view things, because the more you guys know how I think, what my opinions are on things, the more you know how well you align with me, and the more you know how much weight to give to something I say. So if we're kind of on the same wavelength, in general, right? Never 100% on everything, always, forever. But at least in this sense, then you can be like, okay, so when he's looking at it, he's thinking this way. That's how I think about it too. So we're kind of on the same page there. I'll put a little bit more weight into it. Then, I kind of only agree with him in a little bit here. And so I'll add a grain of salt to it. That's fine. That's fine. Again, you can disagree. It's okay. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to make sure that that's clarified. I wanted to make sure that that's on this channel, so if nothing else, I can refer to it sooner, because this has happened consistently throughout my career here where people talk about this. And this is not my first conversation, and it won't be my last conversation about the almighty preview versus a review. And I'm not going to go into, I've done other videos a little bit where I've talked about how, it doesn't matter what you do because the company that has a Kickstarter will have a review header, right? So they're calling it a review, even if they list previews underneath it, because that's what it is. Anytime you give an opinion, it's a review. All right, that's it. I'm going to go get some sleep after I edit this video. So, it is what it is. I'll feel better tomorrow, I'm sure. Resident Evil is coming next and soon, so you will get to that. That'll be the next video, is actually my review of that. So expect that, probably Monday is the hope. We'll see. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.